ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. The prayer is more meaningful today. It is very interesting. Swamiji was born 17 years before the independence. So when India got independence, he was 16, 17 years old. And when I met Puja Swamiji, I was 16, 17 years old. So, an interesting coincidence. Okay. Anyway, that apart. Those of you who have a good connection, please switch on your videos. Okay. Yeah. So, last time we saw an introduction into the
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om Ji, we have started the class, so don't interrupt. Since last time we saw an introduction into Vedanta Sara. Okay. So let us chant the invocation of Vedanta Sara as well. Okay, he goes by saying, Akhandam Sachidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhaye. Okay. So, last time we saw it as an introduction. This time let us see one or two more insights about it, Akhandam. Once he says Sachidanandam, there is no need of saying the word Akhandam. But because Anandam means Anantam, Akhandam. But this is teaching. Therefore, sometimes repetition and further clarification will be necessary. Okay? That is for Akhandam Sachidanandam. Khandarahitam, that which cannot be divided up. Limitlessness. Anything else can be divided. A finite thing can always be divided, however big or however small it is. The only thing that is indivisible is limitlessness itself. Okay. Therefore, Akhandam, Sachidananda Swarupam. Sachidanandam are three words revealing one and the same entity. Later on we will see this when he is analyzing Tattvamasi, etc. more clearly. Okay. And Sachidananda is a defining word, is a definition of the Atma, Lakshana for the Atma. But it is through implication, it is referred only through, defined by implication. It is not defined literally. Because anything that you define becomes, anything you define becomes finite. Anything defined. Because you have to put a framework on it. The moment you define, there is a framework, it becomes a finite thing. If you remember your science definitions, this gas is defined to behave like this under NTP conditions, etc. Normal temperature and pressure. And you will never reach that normal temperature and pressure in your life. Why? It is minus 23 degrees Celsius. So, Akhandam Sachidanandam. Okay. Lakshanaya. Chit stands for pure awareness, Chaitanyam, and Sat stands for existence. Again, not existence of an object or anything like that, but Anantam Sat, Anantam Chit, limitlessness itself. I am not going too much into it because we will see that when he is doing the Mahavakya. That time we will come back to that Sachidananda word also. Okay, so this by Lakshanaya, it stands for pure consciousness, which is nothing but pure existence. Exactly like how you have forms of consciousness, all of us. Similarly, you have forms of existence. What is underlying behind the whole thing is one Sachidanandam. Anantam Akhandam. Avang Manasa Gocharam. Very beautifully said again. It is not an object of the mind or words. That means it's beyond the words. Yes. Then why are you teaching? Why are you teaching? You need not teach. Why are you talking anything about it? So, Shankara's student Sureshwara Acharya, writing in Naishkarmi Siddhi, we will do that text here, okay? All this is text is preparation for the higher text now. Says, Vakyadeva avakyartha pratipattihi. By the words, by the sentences alone, are you going to understand that which is beyond the words and sentences? To give you a small demonstration right now, you are a conscious being. Any doubt on that? Because that is self-evident. No? I exist, I am. The moment you say I am, it means two things. You exist and your existence is self-evident to you. How do you know you exist? Knock, knock, who is there? Not necessary. Yeah. No logic, inference, etc. is necessary. You exist, you are self-evident. And this self-evident Atma, I, conscious being, is put as Anantam, Akhandam, Anandam. Just by defining myself as Anantam, now look what we have done. That means all the ideas I have of me being a finite entity, I, the body, mind, etc., has to be dropped. No? So from this conscious being, you are dropping all finitude. Body, mind, knowledge, ignorance, thought, emotions, feelings. What is left behind? Don't say nothing. Because you exist here. We are talking about you. So how can you say I am nothing? To say I am nothing is like saying I don't have a tongue. I am nothing is like saying I don't have a tongue. How can I say I don't have a tongue unless I have a tongue? Therefore, that pure consciousness from where everything else is negated. Anantam. And that's the only thing that exists, existence, Sat. Because you take anything in the world, it can be reduced into pure existence, limitless existence. You take the I, it is limitless consciousness. They cannot be two, existence and consciousness. Both limitless. Therefore, what exists is nothing but consciousness. Akhandam Sachidanandam. Avang manasa gocharam. This is not descriptive. He is saying that to indicate that the teaching is not descriptive. That's why the teaching is more of an unfolding. It is unfolding what you are. We are retrieving from you all the notions that you have about yourself and pointing out what you really are. That's why I want the videos on. I have to see whether you are understanding or not. The online medium is a poor medium for teaching Vedanta. Many of my Guru Bhais do it and they are comfortable with it, but it is a poor medium. If so many years of teaching has taught me one thing, it is that this is a poor medium. Pujya Swamiji used to refuse to get onto it in his lifetime. He said, I don't want to be on YouTube, this, that, etc. I am old school like that. Though I do, like all of you, I am teaching on online. Otherwise, 2 years we would have to keep the class closed. Not wanting to do that, I have come online. Yeah. It's a poor medium. Yeah. I know everyone will have a little bit of a resistance once we start offline classes. We have to travel up to there. Why can't we have it online? Once we are, the pandemic is over, more or less, and everything is allowed, no third wave, etc. We overcome third wave also, and we are meeting on offline. I am going to make it offline. Online options only for those who are out of town, not for those who are in town. Yeah. And I will travel. Western suburbs, I will come to Bandra or somewhere around that. So that all of you have to travel very little. From Andheri, Vilaparle, this, that, etc. The maximum will have to be for Kiran, Martin and Surendran. Where is Surendran? Is not there today. Okay. Yeah. Because that's how Vedanta teaching is supposed to be. If it really has to work. Okay. Anyway, so Akhandam Sachidanandam Avang Manasa Gocharam Atmanam, at the same time Akhiladharam. It sustains the whole universe. This is also indicating what is going to explain in the whole thing. Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Abhishta Siddhaye Aham Ashraye. I seek refuge in that Ishvaraha, Abhishta Siddhaye, Moksha Siddhaye. Okay. Or in his case, that his teaching will reach the people. Okay. Abhishta Siddhaye in Swami Sadananda's case. Okay. All right. Then of course his guru also we saw, Arthatopi Advayanandan Atita Dvaita Bhanataha. His guru's name was Advayananda. Advaya meaning non-dual. He says, Natu kevala shabdataha arthatapi advayananda. It's not merely a name. Because many people are given names, and their personalities may be nothing to do with that name. Yeah. I met someone called Happy. It is his nickname. You can imagine which community he was from, who will have nicknames like that. Lovely, Happy, etc. Lovely, I am not commenting on. Happy, I have a right to comment on. He was anything but happy. He came to me because he was miserable. So I taught him a few things, at least to take care of day-to-day miseries, how to handle it. But he never really became happy. Of course, for that you need to understand Vedanta. But at least he was not in depression and things like that. Good enough. Okay. Therefore, here not like that. Arthataha api. In reality itself, because he was my teacher. If I have understood it, he should have understood it. How can I study from someone who has not understood and understand? Therefore, Arthatopi Advayananda. Like my guru's name, Dayananda. King of compassion, that's what I call him, jokingly. Okay. Why jokingly? Because when you work with him, his compassion becomes a problem for us. We decided on a course of action and somebody wants to change and he will go and cry to Puja Swamiji. Puja Swamiji is okay, we will do it his way. Oh my God, abhi sab pura gadbad ho gaya. As a student, it was great to be such a compassionate teacher. But we full-timers know how hard, how tough he could be also. Yeah. I have not kicked out anyone from my class. He has kicked out people from the ashram. Okay. I have not kicked out someone from the class. But he has kicked out people from the ashram itself. Therefore, he could be tough as well. But Arthatopi Advayananda, okay, he lived up to his name. Gurun Aradhya, after having worshipped my Gurun, Vedanta Saram Vakshe. Then last time I touched upon the next verse, but we will do that a little bit more elaborately today. Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. Okay. We saw the positional name for Vedanta. Why I am saying it is there are a few new people also here. That positional name becomes very, very important. The end portion of the Veda. That is the real meaning of Vedanta. Any other meaning you are given, it's okay to give some of those meanings. But even if those meanings are not given, Vedanta will function very effectively. But if you are looking at it from a scholarly angle, from the standpoint of Purvapaksha, etc., like we talked about last time, Upasana, etc., which we saw in the Brahma Sutra, Tattva Samanvaya, that like how there are statements in the Veda where you talk about a ritual. Okay. Atmanam upasita. They'll say. In fact, you may not be familiar so much with the Vedic ritual, but many of you must have done some puja or seen some puja, etc. Therefore, there is always Atma Puja there. Every puja you worship. In fact, you may have seen some of the priests doing that Anganyasa. All that you will see. And you will wonder what he is making all these gestures around himself. He is sanctifying himself. He is worshipping himself. Okay? Why? Idam shariram kshetramiti abhidiyate. This sharira is called a kshetra. The kshetra is the same name given to a temple. A temple is also called a kshetra in Sanskrit. Mandir, etc. is in Hindi, you know. Temple is in English. In Hindi, you will call it mandir. Kshetram in Sanskrit. Why? There's a field of the Lord. And if you look at a typical temple, one day I have to do when we meet offline, or maybe I can take you all to a couple of temples and show you all what temple architecture is like. The entrance generally is for the feet of the Lord. Is imagine as the Lord is lying down. The entrance is from the feet. Then you will have various mandapam at various places. And where the head is, or where the heart is, depending on how the temple is set up, that will be the Garbhagraha. The place where the Lord is kept, the Devata is kept. So the temple is representative of this body, actually. Therefore, there will be statements like this, Atmanam Upasita, etc., in respect to rituals. So, similarly, why not take the Upanishads also as an Anga of the Veda? Know yourself and do the ritual, it will become better effect. Therefore, you will get the argument of Jnana Karma Samuchaya for moksha. Mixing up Jnana and Karma for moksha. So what? Let it be, na? If you say let it be, that means you have not understood the difference between karma and jnanam. All result of karma is finite. Because karma is finite, you can enhance that result through these type of upasanas. Moksha, by its very definition, has to be limitlessness. And if it is limitlessness, the only way of gaining it is by knowing it. Because it has to include you. Therefore, the Upanishad says, na karmana, not by karma, etc. Therefore, you have to establish Upanishad as a separate prakarnam, as a separate section having nothing to do with the previous section. The only common thing between the Upanishad and the Veda is that both are a pramana. Pramana means a means of knowledge. Shabda pramanam, to make you understand things that is beyond your 5 pramanas. That's the only thing common between the Upanishad and the Veda. That is why both of them have been put into the same book. Shabda Pramanam is one, but within that book there are 2 different prakarnas, 2 different sections. So Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. And if you look at it, this is necessary because your 5 pramanas are useless to know yourself. The first basic pramana is perception. For every object outside, there has to be a thought, and you have to objectify that thought to create a subject-object relationship. This is perception. Yeah. So perception is for name, form, color, etc. Touch, taste, smell, all your 5 sense organs. Therefore, perception is 5-fold. Though normally when we explain perception, we are focusing on sight, because most of your information comes through sight. Most of your conscious information comes through sight. A lot of your unconscious information comes through touch, skin. Like right now, you are sitting and listening to me, your body is processing a lot of information. Fan is on, or the AC is on, or not on, and you're feeling heat, cold, this, the breeze, all that information, the feel of your clothes, all that information is processed through touch. That's a subconscious process, doesn't matter. You can make it conscious also, but you'll go crazy trying to make everything conscious. So perception is not enough to know the self. You cannot know yourself through perception. Why? Because the one who uses a perception about that person, you cannot be at both the ends of the telescope. Subject end and object end. Neither of a telescope nor of a microscope. Therefore, perception is not possible. On perceptual data, you will make inference. Like you are hearing a noise. So I am thinking, yes, I am making an inference The building across the road, they are working on it. Normally Sundays they don't work, otherwise they have closed the windows. Normally Sundays they don't work, but today they are working, that's why there's noise. So you are making an inferential conclusion through perceptual data. Without data there is no inference. What are you going to infer about the Atma? No perceptual data. All data that you will have about yourself is what you can objectify. Body, mind, etc. We are not talking about that. Even when I take a self-awareness workshop, etc., we are talking about what is there with respect to your mind. That is for functioning. So for functioning, those things will help. Not to know the self. Therefore, inference gone. Arthapati or deductive logic. Arthapati is similar to inference. Only there are multiple steps involved. The common example given is Pino Devadattaha Divana Bhungte. Hatta Gatta Devadatta. Doesn't eat during the day. You followed him right through the day. Doesn't eat. The guy is not losing weight. There is no hormonal issues. Because those are upadhis. You have to take care of all that. When you make some inferential or other conclusions. Therefore you conclude he must be nocturnal. He must be eating in the night. Arthapatti this is called. On the basis of one inferential conclusion or on basis of some knowledge, you are making another inference, deductive. Arthapatti. What are you going to deduce about the Atma when perception and inference both are not possible? The fourth is Upamana, comparison. Comparative knowledge, very important. My old example. This person is going to the States first time. I said, go to that wildlife park there and see a bison. A bison, what is that? Something like our water buffalo. He goes there. Nobody has come back and told me, a bison is not a water buffalo. That's why I use the expression like. Like means similar. So he sees this four-legged, mighty-headed, horned animal. And he says, that must be the bison. By comparative knowledge, he knows a water buffalo. Bison is not like a water buffalo. It's very different. But that comparative knowledge of water buffalo that he had and the word he had heard from me, the sentence that he had heard from me, it is something like a water buffalo, is enough for him to make a conclusion. Upamanam it is called. And the last one, fifth one, Anupalabdhi. Recognizing things that are not there. Like right now here in this class I am checking. Okay. Is Surendran here? Nahi hai. Now how do I know Surendran is not there? You can't say, I saw. You can't see the absence. Eyes can only see presence, not absence. But with Surendran Buddhi in my mind, I look around and I see such a figure is not there. Therefore I cognize the guy is not there. Anupalabdhi is different from perception. Because for perception, light has to be reflected to your eyes. An absent Surendran cannot reflect light into my eyes. 5 pramanas. We are talking about an Atma which is existent, not non-existence. Therefore, Anupalabdhi also doesn't work. So, none of these 5 pramanas work. Therefore, I need the 6th pramana called Shabdam. Therefore, Vedanto Nama Upanishad pramanam. It is not a philosophy, it is not a theory and practice. Pramanam is knowledge. Okay. There are certain knowledge about finite things which you know and you have to put into practice. Correct. I am feeling hungry. So, what will satisfy your hunger? Food. I know cooking. Very good. But by knowing cooking, your hunger is not going to be satisfied. You have to put that into practice. Or I have all the recipes in with me. I have to pick up one and make it and eat it. Or eat the cookbook. Then hunger will be satisfied. If you are like Jagged from Archie Comics, you can do that. You can eat the cookbook itself to satisfy your hunger. Their theory and practice come into play because it's a finite thing. We are dealing with the infinite, therefore theory and practice is not applicable. To know it is to be it. Okay. And tad upakarini, not only the Upanishad, anything that helps, like Sharirika Sutrani, like Brahma Sutrani, this book, etc., which is an analysis. Brahma Sutras are an analysis of the Upanishad. Why analysis? Because in the form of words, therefore it's subject to interpretation. Therefore you have to analyze and see what is the right interpretation, how no other interpretation is possible. All that has to be done. Therefore Sharirika Sutras or Brahma Sutras written by Vyasa. Okay. Okay, now going forward, I just wanted to take it a little deeper than what I did last time. Okay. Then asya Vedanta prakaranatvat tadiya eva anubandhehi tadvat tat siddhehe natu pratag alochaniya. Now, since this is a book dealing with what subject matter is same as Vedanta, Vedanta Prakaranam. Therefore, the Anubandha Chatushtayam that is applicable to Vedanta is also applicable to this book. Now, what is Anubandha Chatushtayam? See, what you call in marketing parlance today as target audience, etc. Okay, just to give you an idea, okay, it is not the same. It deals with for whom the book, etc. is written, that he himself says it. Okay, what is that? Tatra anubandho nama adhikari vishayaha sambandha prayojanani. Okay, 4 things he says. Anubandham. First, adhikari, who has got the right to study this text or any Vedanta text. Adhikari has to be mentioned. But Swamiji, you didn't check up all this when we came to the class. I am hoping that all people will cultivate it as they go along. And for those who are for whom it is working, and I see for quite a few people it is working, they have cultivated it, either before or as they go along. Adhikari, who is qualified to study it. I am not elaborating it because he himself elaborates it. Adhikari. Vishayam, what is the subject matter? Jiva Brahma Aikyam. The oneness, obtaining oneness between Jiva, the individual, and Brahman, the reality. Ishvara, Jiveshvara Aikyam is the subject matter. Sambandha. What is the Sambandha? Bodhaka, Bodhya Sambandha. One is a revealer and the other is a revealed. That is the relationship between the text and the subject matter. Prayojanam was the use of it. I wrote it for time pass. You can pass your time. I don't have time to pass, but to read it. Prayojanam. What is the use of it? Moksha. One who studies it gains moksha. Therefore, moksha is a prayojanam. Now, he is elaborately going to talk about each one of them. So, the beauty of this text is, the beauty of this text is the later sentence will explain the previous one, will throw more light on it. So, it is like building up. Now, he said adhikari, vishya, adhikari, vishya, sambandha, prayojanam. So, each one he will take up. Out of them, the adhikari is the most elaborate. Adhikari is the most elaborate. Why? That's the most important. That's the most important. See, Vedanta is not elitist. One thing to remember, Vedanta is not elitist. When you walk into a Vedanta class, your lineage, your birth, etc. is immaterial. Social standing is immaterial. Your job is immaterial. What you do is immaterial. Sexual orientation, immaterial. Political beliefs, immaterial. None of these things matter. Educational qualifications, immaterial. Not any elitist. Anyone can walk in. At the same time, if the teaching is traditional, a relatively prepared mind will gain insights. A well-prepared mind will have understanding and gain moksha. An unprepared mind may not even gain insights. In fact, may pick up misunderstandings also. That's why a guru becomes very necessary. Because through finite words you are revealing the infinite. If you have learnt Vedanta without a teacher, okay, what is a guru who? He says, he had said that in the beginning, my guru I salute. Gukaro andakaraha rukaro tannivartakaha. Gukara stands for ignorance. Rukara stands for one who removes it. Therefore, andakara nivartakatvat guruhu iti abhidiyate. One who is remover of ignorance is called guru. And he will give qualifications to the guru also later on. Kshotriyam, Brahmanishtam, etc. If you don't study it under a teacher, you will be like Colonel Jacob, who has published that book with 2 Sanskrit commentaries. At the end of it, he understood nothing. For want of a teacher, for want of a prepared mind. At the end of the whole teaching, he is saying, please come to the Bible. Nothing wrong with the Bible, okay? It's a good book for those who are ready for that level of understanding. And the secrets, there are statements which reveal that Christ knew the truth. When he said the kingdom of God is within you, Father and Son are the same, etc., he knew it. He didn't teach it, but he knew it. Why? Because he was put in front of shepherds, fisher folk, etc., who did not have a level of sophisticated thinking necessary to understand it. Or like Moses, I am that. God tells him, I am that. Tattvamasi that is. But he is looking at the people who are just escaped from slavery into freedom, behaving like wild teenagers when they get freedom from school and go into college. What Vedanta am I going to teach? I am that, etc. Can you teach that? No. Therefore, he taught simple things. Do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. Okay. So, they were appropriate for the times. But for Colonel Jacob to present that as Vedanta is not good enough, this is good enough, that's tragic. That is tragic. Instead of trying to understand the mysteries of the Bible, which many padris also don't know. When I talk to them, they say, no, these are all mysteries. We take it as mystery. Arre, mystery is to understand. Mystery is not to be left as mysteries. Yeah. Now, what is the mystery for? Even children know that. Enid Blyton's Mysteries they will read. For why? Why do they read that book? Because they want to understand what is the mystery at the end of it. Na? At the end of it, the mystery is revealed. There is nothing mysterious then. So why are you leaving it as a mystery? Because you don't know and you don't know how to explain it. Both. Yeah. That is what will happen. Like what happened to Colonel Jacob. If you read it, if you come to Vedanta without a teacher and without preparation. So to prevent that, the Adhikari, for whom Vedanta is guaranteed to work. For whom Vedanta is guaranteed to work. Guarantees are very difficult to give. No? Guarantees are always subject to conditions, isn't it? I have a 2-year warranty for my watch. But look at that, there will be always a fine print which tells under what conditions. This is not fine print. This is stated very clearly. It's guaranteed only for such people. Okay? Therefore, you will know what to pick up. For here, he starts elaborately. Okay? He starts elaborately for whom it will work. Very elaborate. But don't get scared about the elaborateness of it. I'll explain certain things as we go along. Okay. Adhikari tu vidhivat adita veda vedangatvane apatata adhigata akhila vedartaha asmin janmani janmantre va kamya nishiddha varjana purasaraha nitya naimitika प्रायश्चित उपासना अनुष्ठानेन निर्गत निखिल कल्मषतया नितांत निर्मल स्वांत साधन चतुष्ट संपन्नः प्रमाता. सिंपल, इतना ही है बात. अधिकारी to connect with the last word. Pramata adhikari. The knower is the adhikari. The one who is capable of knowing is the adhikari. All of us are knowers, thinkers. All of us know things, no? Yeah. Though some of us may be, like you will gossip about a person for 3 hours. And then say, apna su, at the end of it. I mean, it is their job. Now, what is it for us? 3 hours you gossip. That means you have known enough about that guy to gossip for 3 hours. Okay. At the end of it, what is it for us? Should have thought of it in the beginning and forgotten it after 2 minutes. 2 minutes understandable, 5 minutes understandable. It is human. It's a human limitation. Okay, therefore 5 minutes. Okay. So, Pramata Adhikari. All right. Then what? He starts now. He says, Vidhivat. Vidhivat meaning in a proper manner. As the Vidhi of the Vedas go. As the Vidhi of the Vedas. Meaning with proper initiation, etc. With a guru in the picture. Vidhivat. Adita Veda Vedangatvena. He has studied the Vedas and the Vedangas. Oh my God. Those who attended the last Vedic Wisdom Festival, I gave you all a small booklet which talks about what the Veda, the Vedanga and all was. Right? You all may still have that booklet with you all. Okay? All right. Vedas are 4 in number. Okay? Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. 4 Vedas. 1 Veda actually. Really speaking, Veda is 1, not 4. But 1 divided into 4 on the basis of the chant and the verses. Not by subject matter. Understand this well. This was done, it was codified by Vyasa. Okay? You must have heard names like Trivedi, Chaturvedi, etc. Especially in North India, UP. Chaturvedi, one of his ancestors has studied all the 4 Vedas. Because this idiot has not, you know that. Trivedi, 3 Vedas. Divedi, 2 Vedas. 1 Veda we won't say Vedi. Why? 1 Veda everyone is supposed to study. Each one of us, by association, has a Veda to study. Your Gotra will tell you what Veda you have to study. It's some traditional knowledge, okay? Or by your association. Like, if you all accept me as your teacher, I am Brahmavidananda Saraswati. Saraswati, Bharati, etc. is associated with Sringeri. There was a Krishna Yajurveda. Is what we study. 1 Veda. Okay? Therefore, they learn to chant the whole Veda. Again, 2 Vedic wisdom festivals back, we got somebody to chant a little bit so that people understand something about the chant and etc. Simple Pataha, Gana Pataha, etc. All that. Okay? That is the Veda part. Then what is the Vedanga? Vedanga is 6 in number. First is Siksha. Sikshavali. The science of pronunciation. Because Veda is a mantra, they are not just words. Therefore, if they are mantras, the proper pronunciation and the vibrational quality of the word is important. Therefore, you have to study the science of pronunciation, articulation very well. You can't say Ram in Sanskrit. Hindi you can say Ram. Rama. Yeah. There is an A there which you have to mention. Yeah. Narayana, not Narayan. Narayan is okay in Hindi. Narayana in Sanskrit. That A is swallowed in North India. Yeah. You look at any word. You won't say Rama. Ram. You won't say Krishna. You won't say Krishna. I can't even spell. Or Kishan. ये किशन किधर से आया? It's okay, for Hindi it is fine. I am not criticizing a language. I am saying what is Siksha. I am giving you a small idea what is Siksha according to the traditional Vedanga. And now this is applied to the whole Sanskrit language. What is the place of origin of the words? Like when I say kha, kha, ga, and pa, pa, pa. What is the origin? One is guttural, other is labial. One the guttural sounds, kha, kha. You look, put your finger there, you will know, understand. Kha, kha, ga. Pa, it's all at the lips. Pa, pa, pa. It's all at the lips. Sthana, prayatna. Prayatna means effort you will put in. Alpa prana, mahaprana. Ka, small. Ka, more prana is used, no? Ka, kha, ga, gha. So alpa prana, mahaprana, like this. These are all basic, okay? This is the ABC class of Siksha. Okay, ABC class of Siksha. If your pronunciation is right, like a rishi, a raver from the Atharvana Veda, Mahatharvan Jabali. He is called Mahatharvan Jabali. Vyasa learned the Atharva Veda from him. He was such a master of the mantras that with one word, he could make the living dead or raise the dead into living. One word. One word was enough. A Rakshasa attacks him, one word, he drops down dead. Or somebody is lying dead, Akala Mrityuhu, one word is enough to bring him back to life. This is the height, okay, of the use of the mantras. Therefore, Siksha became very important. Like somewhere, I saw someone chanting about Devi. Saundarya Lahari was chanting. Okay. So there is a description of her. So in there, the word Nasika is used. Nasika means one who has a beautiful nose. What we will say is a Roman nose. Okay. One who has a beautiful nose is called Nasika. He was pronounced it as Nashika. So instead of calling her one with beautiful nose, you are calling her one who will destroy everything. So what is the phalam you will get? Destruction of everything. इतना ही फर्क है. Nasika, Nashika. Siksha becomes important when you are chanting the mantras, etc. Kalpam. Kalpam is how you are going to do the rituals, etc. Mantras are given in the Vedas. How you are going to do it is called kalpa. Vyakarnam, grammar. Because there is a lot of analysis of the Shastra. Therefore, don't say Vyakarna, kya karna. Don't say Vyakarna, kya karna. It's important. Of course, when you are a part-time student, you may not focus that much on it. But if you are going to be a full-time student and want to go in-depth into the Shastra, little bit of Sanskrit is good for you. Therefore, Vyakarnam. Niruktam. Niruktam is a etymological meaning of difficult Vedic words. Okay. Of difficult Vedic words, how do you get the etymological meaning, etc.? Like when I use the word Guru, Guru is not a Vedic word, but I am giving you as an example. Gukara stands for darkness. Rukara stands for one who removes it. That's an etymological meaning. Brahman, the word. Brihatvad Brahman. Briha is the root, Brihat is the use. From the adjective, you have made a noun. So, like this, to understand etymological meaning, because you are studying the mantras and things like that. Chandas. Chandas is all the verses, etc. So, how do you understand what is the meter, what is the verse, all that. Jyotishaha. Astronomy, it's important. Okay. Jyotisha included actually two aspects. One is called Ganitam. Ganitam is purely astronomy, the position of the planets, etc., which can be predicted for 1,000 years with correction, with course correction, etc. Like for example, one idea of this, the measurement of years. What is the year according to the English or the Gregorian calendar? 2021. This year is 2021 according to the Gregorian calendar. What is it according to the Vikrama calendar, Vikrama Samvat calendar? Anyone knows here? Okay. Vikramaditya, the king, was a great scholar king. He was born. Now, okay, how did the Gregorian calendar start? After the domain of Jesus Christ. So it started with Jesus Christ's death. That's why in the Gregorian calendar, really speaking, 32 years are missing. Because BC was before Christ, before the birth of Christ. AD is after his death. In between 32 years, किधर गया? कहाँ गया? Because he lived for 32 years. So, his death is considered 000000, 4 zeros. And today we are in 2021 according to that. Whereas Vikramaditya was a king who was born 57 years before Jesus Christ. So if you had to get the Hindu day calendar, you have to add 57 years to the English calendar and you will get the Vikrami Samvat. The Vikrama Samvatsaraha you will get if you add 57 years. Go check up a traditional calendar and see whether it's right or wrong. Okay. Because he was such a great king, we started the Vikrama Samvatsara from that time onwards. 57 years plus whatever year is going on. So they'll come 2078. Yeah, that will be this thing. Okay. So I am understanding. Because these are all calculations. Like they will say, this ritual should be done on an Amavasya day. Now since you are coming for the class, make it Amavasya. Don't say Amas. Okay. Don't say Amas. It's okay in your language when you are discussing with people, but Amavasya. Okay. Or some ritual has to be done on Purnima. Don't say Poonam, okay? If you say Poonam, I'll think of the girl next door. Okay. Purnima. Full moon. Or something has to be done on Ashtami. Now Navaratri is coming in October. Ashtami Puja. So you have to know the astronomical things plus the astrological things, the phalam, etc. The astrological part, what is it? Astronomy is scientific. That part is scientifically valid. Astrology is not scientific. Need not be scientific. That's the predictive part. Phalam, as you call it. So when the astrologer studies you go to him with a problem in this thing and he tells you, he is looking at the astronomy part and the astrology part both. Both together make Jyotisham complete. That is why one part of it can be computerized. The astronomy part can be computerized. That's why you can go to any of these centers and get a printout of your chart. But a good astrologer will always double check whether the computer has done it right or wrong. Because the computer human error can creep in much more. How have you calculated? So all this. Have you all studied all this? But he makes this thing. He says, Apatataha adigatam. If you have a general knowledge of it, it is enough. Now you know why I was elaborating it a bit. General knowledge, you should know what is what. Bas ho gaya. Okay. Then adigata apatataha adigata akhila vedartaha. having a general knowledge of the meaning of the whole Vedas. And done all the rituals, etc. Where Asmin Janmani Janmantareva. Thank God. Either in this lifetime or some previous lifetime. Because my teacher called me an adhikari when I walked in to study. And I know this lifetime I have not done any of those things. When I went to study. Later on I did a few things. But before I started studying Vedanta, I have not done anything. But some people who read charts and see past life, etc., they have said you have done all these things in your past life. Bas ho gaya. Why? My mind is ready for it. There have been some lifetime I have done. Bas ho gaya. Nobody can do everything, okay? He is just giving you an idea of what all is there. Adhigata, Akhila, Vedartha, Apatata. Asmin Janmani Janmantareva. This lifetime or previous lifetime. And Kamya Nishiddha Varjana Purasara. Given up Kamya karmas and Nishiddha karmas. Because you are a moksharthi. Nishiddha karma is that you are not supposed to do. That he will elaborate later on. Nishiddha karma. What you are not supposed to do? Adharmic activities. As a student of Vedanta, how can you do an adharmic activity? Therefore, Nishiddham is given. He says even Kamya karmas are given up. Why? You have grown out of it. You have come to Vedanta. Samjhi, I have not yet grown out of it. Okay, Karma Yoga Buddhi you can have and do it. But even a student of Vedanta is not going to have a desire to go to heaven, etc. That type of kamas he will not have. Nor will you have this type of kamas that I am talking about. This guy came to me, he was sent by someone whom I know. Swamiji, I am going through a lot of problems in my relationship. No, in my work, etc. Will you do a tarot reading for me? I said, theek hai. I do it only for known people. I did it. And I gave him some solution. Swamiji, can I ask you one more question? I said, yeah, please ask. Will I have a woman in my life? I said, you already married, na? No, I am talking of another woman. This type of Kamya karma also a student of Vedanta will not have. But it is Nishiddha karma. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. You close a relationship before you start something else. Otherwise you are disloyal to both and disloyal to yourself also. Therefore, this type of Kamya karma a student will not have. But Swamiji, I have seen one or two students having it. I know. I also know one or two students who have it. But I am helping them to grow out of it. So good enough. Okay, for Kamya karmani. And definitely karma to go to heaven, etc. a student of Vedanta will not have. If you have a desire to go to heaven, etc., don't waste your time studying Vedanta. Do some rituals properly. Be a karmata. At least then you will get what you want. And then you will realize there that this is not what I wanted. मैं क्या करूँ इधर बैठ के? I got fed up of खाओ पियो मजा करो. Okay. Because someone sent me a forward which is interesting. That a Guju is a person who may get tired after 10 minutes of walking. क्या कितना चलने का है अभी? But he will go strong after 5 hours of garba. 5 hours of garba in the night also you are going strong, you are ready. But 10 minutes of walking. But even if you are like that, you can enjoy 5 hours of garba throughout the whole Navratri. Imagine having to do that for 20 years. Oh my God. You'll get fed up, okay? Heaven ityadi, therefore if you have desires for that, etc., forget it. That type of karmic karmas you will not have. Then nitya naimitika prayashchita upasana anushtanena. Nitya karmas you will do. Why? That's your duties, etc. Naimitikam is occasional. I'll elaborate it more when he himself does it. Nitya karmas. What are you supposed to do every day? There are certain duties, religious and worldly, that you will do every day. Naimitikam on special occasions. Marriage, etc. The duty, special occasion, no? You don't get married every day anyway. Thank God. Problem हो जाएगा. Or certain days some special things are there. Yeah. It's called Naimitikam. Because of a nimitta, you are doing something. Chaturthi. Oh, Ganesha, you will respect. Okay. So, Naimitika. This thing. Or your duties, somebody is getting married. Okay. Your relative, etc. I don't like this character. What? Chalo. Go. Show your face and, give them a gift and things like that. Those are all Naimitika duties. Yeah. Naimitikam. Okay. Some show support, etc. But I am saying marriage because you require a lot of support in that anyway. Even with all the support, it may not work. So what? Naimita. Prayashchitam. Prayashchitam is making amends for the wrongs that I may have done. Both worldly and religious. Both. Because I have made mistakes. I am a human being. Even gods make mistakes. Devatas, etc. make mistakes. And what about me? I am a human being. Therefore, I will make amends for it. Prayashchita karmani. Upasanani, mental worship, japa dhyanam, etc. Those type of upasanani. Anushtanena. By doing all that, what is the phalam you will get? Nirgata nikhila kalmashataya. All your kalmashas nirgatam. If you live a life like this, we'll elaborate it, how all that nirgata gamanam happens. You are free from ragadveshas, you are free from guilt, you are free from hurt, pain, etc. You have settled accounts with the world. What a place to be in. No? Free from hurt, pain, guilt. Why? Because here I am on that, standing on the doorway to moksha. All those experiences got me here. No regrets, no pain. You went through a lot, yeah. My horoscope was a horoscope. But that's okay. That made me here, ready for the final step in life, moksha. Moksha, here I come. What a position to be in. What a position to be in. No? So where is regrets in life? Where is pain? Yeah. Nirgata akhila kalmashataha. Nitanta nirmala swantaha. Okay, Nitanta nirmala swantaha. It's a very, very beautiful expression. Okay. Swantaha. Antakarnaha Nitanta nirmalaha. It's clean. Clean. Why? Because all hurt, pain, guilt, regrets, etc. out. Has been removed. You have a mind that will think clearly, feel strongly, and you can act decisively. Think clearly, feel strongly, act decisively. And that is missing in many people's life. Hey, coming for the camp or not? हाँ, I have to decide Swamiji, I have to sing, ये, अरे यार बोलो ना हाँ या ना. Okay, I can understand there are certain things. See, some people I know someone's mother is not well, you don't know whether she's going to be there or not there. So in her case, I can understand. Okay, fine. A different thing. What others? Samjhe, okay, you have to take time to decide. I'll give you one month because we put up the notice 1 month. Deadline 15th. Decide by then. So 15th morning also, ये आई क्या करते से मैं ये और ना what is आई हूँ. What is maturity? Think clearly, feel strongly, act decisively. That's it. Nitanta nirmala swantaha sadhana chatushta sampannaha, who has got the fourfold qualifications. Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, Sama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. 6 qualities. That's called your wealth. And Mumukshatvam, a strong commitment to moksha. Such a person is an adhikari, he says. Now remember one thing. He has talked about all these rituals, etc. in the previous section, in the beginning of this verse. And he deliberately says, Asmin Janmani Janmantareva. Remember, it's a finite thing. Getting your mind ready is a finite thing. He is presenting you the religious way of doing it. Because when you study Siksha, Kalpam, etc., that was the education in those days. It was written 1,000 years back. It was written 1,000 years back. This was the education of those times. Today, modern education supplements that. No? Unless you have been a mugger in school and college. Yeah. If you have done modern education and you have done it well, you have learned how to think. Whatever subject you have studied, whether it is literature, economics, science, physics, whatever. If you have learned to think and use thinking, it has done its job. It done its job. Because you have to get the mind ready. To get the mind ready, you should have functioned well in life. Learn from your mistakes. Wisdom in life comes from experience. Wisdom in life is about knowing how to make good decisions. And that comes from experience. And experience comes from bad decisions. You made mistakes in life. That's how you learned and became wise. Why do you think I can help people so well? Because I made a lot of mistakes in life. But I have only one rule. Don't make the same mistake again. Why? It is so boring. Make a new mistake. So boring to repeat the old mistake. Make a new mistake. Nah. Therefore, if you are lived if you have been proactive in life, achieved something in life, made decisions, success, failure, etc., you have seen. Okay? If you have taken a disciplined approach to life, either played a game, a sport, it's important. Yeah. Sports have a lot to teach you about dedication, discipline, overcoming the limitations of your body and mind. Yeah, it has a lot to teach you. Especially if it's a demanding sport. Yeah, which is physically demanding, it has a lot to teach you. That's why for me, my sadhana was the discipline of steel. My martial art was my discipline. My sadhana was that. Yeah. In face of threats, to remain peaceful, calm. Yeah, facing threats, correct. Facing threats. Pain, overcome. Tired, overcome. Overcome. Yeah. Simple, overcome. Having a baby teaches you a lot. Having a baby, especially for a woman, it teaches a huge amount. If you have learnt your lessons well, it teaches you a huge amount of stuff. Teaches the father also a lot of things. Most fathers don't learn much, but it teaches you. Unless you are a very hands-on father, you won't learn much, but if you are a hands-on father, there is a lot to learn. You really know what the meaning of the word patience is. You will really know what it is to handle frustrations. Especially if you are a mother to a teenage child. You will know exactly what it is. Yeah. I know I handle a lot of teenagers. Some of them are involved in gangs and everything, and I have to confront the gangs and get them out of it. I do that also. Yeah. So these are lessons of life. No? I have done that before, as recently as 3 years back. Yeah. So, bringing up a child with the right value structure, at the same time giving the child the freedom to be what the person has to be. Wow. So, life can prepare you if you live it well. That's why the Upanishad says, Pariksha Lokan, having examined life, Nirvedamayat, this thinking person, Brahmana, Nirvedamayat, he got into a very objective situation in life. No more holding on my child, my baby. The guy is a 25-year-old hunk. What are you saying, my baby? No, but for me, he'll always remain a baby. Not yet gained Nirvedam. Objectivity has not yet come in. They are independent people, Baba. Let them live their life. Yeah, have their objectivity. Nirvedamaya. The Upanishad says that. Therefore, you have gained your maturity. And maturity is not how long you have lived. Let me make that clear. Yeah. Age is no guarantee of maturity. Yeah. Sometimes when I deal with some youngsters, I am amazed at their maturity. Yeah. And I deal with older people and I am amazed sometimes at their immaturity also. Most of the time they are fine, but at some places I am amazed at their immaturity. Okay. Like you want to hear one, I am relating to what I have immediately heard, okay? I am not criticizing any of you. Anyway, the person is not from this group. One of the excuses for not coming for a camp. I don't want to come. I don't feel comfortable. I'm sorry, Swamiji, I don't feel. Okay, fair enough. I'm not pressurizing anyone. This person is, Swamiji, next month I'm getting a puppy. Okay. So this weekend I can't come for a camp. You are getting a puppy on the 8th of September. You are back home after the camp on 29th September. What is the connection between the two? You don't want to come for the camp, it's okay. Tell me you don't want to come. Why are you giving an excuse of your puppy? That you are going to get 10 days after you come home from the camp. Can you see the immaturity levels? I am pointing out that immaturity level at making that excuse. I am not talking about coming to the camp or not coming to the camp. I am talking about that excuse which is immature, level of immaturity. And then here I am thinking, इनको सब वेदांता सिखाने का है, कहाँ से किधर फंस गया Where have I got stuck? Nowhere. I'm everywhere, so I won't get stuck anywhere. Don't worry. I'm just giving you an example so you'll understand what the whole thing is about. Okay? Yeah. Life can make you mature if you are lived well. If you are lived well, life can make you mature. All that process and how the whole process of Adhikaritvam, etc., he deals with it in detail. Why? Because this is important for Vedanta. As I said, nobody is denied. If the traditional teaching is such that most people will get insights, very few will misunderstand. Very few. The strength of the traditional teaching, the methodology of the traditional teaching, and what is that methodology, he talks about later. That methodology is such that everyone will get insights. But who can own it up and make it a fact of your life? That requires Adhikaritvam. It's not that you have done all the rituals, etc. No. Simple basic things you have done, good enough. Like some japa, etc. Good enough. Or light a lamp in the morning and do namaskar. Enough. Enough. Not more than that, not necessary. Enough. If you want a bit more than that, from Rashmi, study Panchopachara Puja. Those who don't know. 5 steps. Will be over in 5 minutes. You want it more elaborate? Study Shodashopachara. 16 steps. Or, once most simple, light a lamp and say Om Namah. Okay. That's enough. Simple. Why? It's meant to invoke the devotion out of yourself. So, throughout your day, you have the devoted feeling. That's what is important. But all this we'll clarify more as we go ahead. He deals with it very elaborately, very nicely, and makes it practical enough so that we can study it and make it a fact of our life. So with that, shall we call it a day? 12:30? Okay. Okay, Om Tat Sat. Take care.